Hey, it's syndicated radio talk show host, author, singer Al Cole, welcoming you to another edition of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. I come from CBS Radio. My shows are aired through Apple's iTunes radio network under their professional news talk division, airing CBS shows, Fox News, NPR, BBC, C-SPAN. Best talk in the country, around the world, on Apple's iTunes radio network under News Talk. And if you want to visit my website, please do. Go to peopleofdistinction.org. You can hear my Apple streams right there. You can see my alliances with people like Ariana Huffington, the founder of the Huffington Post. Read up on my communications and business consulting as well. I've helped hundreds to become entrepreneurial at what they do through media. And also, you can email me at alcoholic@gmail.com. You heard me right. That's ALCOLEHOLIC@gmail.com. And I really want to thank my CBS radio listeners for coming up with that handle. Alcoholic. Seems like from day one, my listeners have been saying, Al, we love what you're doing there, brother. In fact, we're hooked on it. We're alcoholics. Coming up, we got a guy who is going to charm you with a little bit of history, a little bit of patriotism, and it's all in his book called Ron Coleman, Historic and Patriotic. So the guy's name, I guess you're getting it. His name is Ron Coleman. He wrote the book, and it's about, him and his relationship to patriotism, his relationship to history. See, we can have relationships with these things. We have relationships with people, we know that. Our spouses, our children, mother, father, the sister, brother, all of that stuff. Best friend, too. Well, you can make friends with history, too, people, and have that beautiful relationship when you understand that history means something to our present. And it's a present to our present. Once we understand from whence we came, we know where we're going to. History is very important. And Ron has studied up about this. And patriotism is important, too. We live in the U.S., and we want to safeguard our freedoms in the United States. Patriotism is one of the ways to look into that. How do we safeguard this? But even other things. How do we create something with other Americans where we're all helping each other? Yeah, we don't really like contentiousness in our world and in our country. We're all human beings. We're all members of the human family, and particularly in the United States, the American family, you could say. So maybe he'll talk about some of the patriotic ways that we can bring people together, even in this contentious 2020 world that we live in right now. And he likes poetry, too, so he's written it a lot in poetry form. And we're going to get that out to you, my listening audience. You can run to Amazon and Barnes & Noble and order that book, Ron Coleman, Historic and Patriotic, by our special guest, Ron Coleman himself. And I will say he was brought to us by one of the best in the publishing world, Parchment Global Publishing. And for your next book, hey, you need to move it through Parchment. ParchmentGlobalPublishing.com. Welcome, Ron, to People of Distinction with Al Cole. It's a real pleasure to have you on today. How are you doing today, Ron?
I'm doing fine, and thank you very much, Al. I started writing poetry when I was in the military stationed in Cuba.
Oh, yeah?
During the missile Cuban crisis.
Wow.
I spent 2 years down there and flew into a lot of different countries like Haiti and San Juan, Puerto Rico, and places like that. And every other time about that we would go into Haiti, they would have a coup. And we couldn't even get off the plane because someone was trying to take over the country. When I got back to our country, I was so elated that I actually got down and I kissed the ground.
Mm.
Good old American soil.
Yeah.
You know? And I started writing poems when I was stationed down there when I had night duty.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the guys would have me write a poem so they could send it to their girlfriend.
Oh, yeah?
But anyway, this book is a accumulation of different poems that I wrote at different times.
Mm-hmm.
And like America, You Touch Me. And one especially that I wrote called Here's to You, America, that was read by Paul Harvey on his newscast back in 1976 for our Bi-Centennial.
Wow.
That's how that Here's to You, America poem came to be.
Mm-hmm.
And he read the Bi-Centennial part of it. And then I added more to it to make it for all times what I felt about America. And a lot of people that read it, I've given thousands of them away, that they've all told me, or a big share of them anyway, that, well, hey, that's how I feel. I just don't know how to put it in words.
We like that. You want to read that poem for me for us now as well?
The Bicentennial part, yes, I would love to read it to you.
Yeah, I think we'd love to hear that as well. So locate that, and while you're locating that poem, we will locate your book, Ron Coleman, Historic and Patriotic. It can be yours. Go to Amazon and Barnes & Noble and order that book by our special guest, Ron Coleman, on People of Distinction with Al Cole, and he's going to read a little bit from his book, Ron Coleman,
yes,
Historic and Patriotic. You have that?
Yes, I have it now.
Okay. Why don't you read it?
It's called Here's to You, America. Here's to you, America, in your Bicentennial year. Hip, hip, hooray, hip, hip, hooray, hip, hip, hooray, 3 cheers. A toast to you, America, land of the free and brave, and to your Constitution for the liberty it gave. To your founding fathers, who 200 years ago dreamed of equal opportunity for the young, handicapped, and old. To a strong free nation where prejudice would not be, for I'm as good as you are, and you're as good as me. A land where principles of democracy stand up strong and tall, where rights and responsibilities are shared by big and small. A land where dreams become reality and justice and truth prevail, where freedom has been the founding word since the Pilgrims first marked the trail. Yes, here's to you, America. May your heart never be small, for the right to be an American does not belong to all. We stand up for you, America, and pledge allegiance to your flag, for we're proud to be Americans, and yes, you have a right to brag. For where else in this world is there another land so free that I can enjoy what I enjoy and really be just me? Yes, here's to you, America, in your Bicentennial year, and I hope and pray that in our hearts you will always remain this dear.
Well, look at that. What a beautiful poem. And, boy, my listeners are really getting excited about that, too. Ron, you're quite a poet, and you're quite a patriot here. Now, that was over 40 years ago. Things have changed since then, haven't they, with patriotism and...
have they?
Now, what do you think about that? What can we do to have a patriotic society that likes each other, loves each other, honors each other as Americans, and not a lot of the contentiousness that's going on? You have any ideas in that way to help out?
Well, first, I think everybody should read the long poem that I sent you, the revision of this Here's to You, America. There's a teacher in Grants Pass, Oregon, that is using that poem in a Constitution class.
Oh, yeah?
Making every student read it and then dissect it as to what I meant by each verse.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would be one of the ways, yes.
Yeah, I sent you that long poem, and I think every person should read it, not because I wrote it, but because of what it says and what it meant to me, because that's how I grew up. That was the America that I grew up in.
Well, that's
and
right.
And would love to return to those days when people never locked their doors, or you had guns hanging over the front door on the porch and things like that. It just, you're right. They have changed an awful lot. And I just wish people would love each other and understand that that's what America is really all about and what it was founded for.
That's right. One of the changes has come in, Ron, as you know, with a changing demographic, as we use in the media world. There are different sorts of Americans these days, and many of, America was always built on immigration. Even the Pilgrims immigrated to America, and, of course, the Native Americans were the first, and they have been displaced. And then throughout time, people from all over the world came, and a lot of Italians and Irish, and, well, basically Europeans, and then it broad-based out to some of the people in other areas of the world, and Asians coming to this country, people from Central South America, Africa, and, of course, the Middle East. And now we have a very, very different demographic, and, of course, African Americans, who were here for a long, long time, a lot more longer generationally, than a lot of the people who immigrated here afterwards. So we have a different demographic, and if we believe in some of the statistics, in 20, 25 years or something like that, there'll be more of the people who are non-white than people who are white. So should that be put into the dynamic of the new patriotism as well, Ron, our changing demographics?
Yes, it's already, everything is in Spanish and Chinese and different things here where I live.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. You go to the store and you buy something, and you go home and look on the package, and then there's instructions in Spanish, and then instructions in Chinese, and then instructions in this language and that language. And you got 4 or 5 languages just on a package set when you go to the store and buy it.
What do you think of that as being patriotic these days?
Well, I think it's catering to those people and trying to make them feel a little more at home.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And we should make people from all walks of life feel home here in America, land of the free, home of the brave, and the melting pot of the world. And so I agree. And if you agree too, people, you can order this book, Ron Coleman, Historic and Patriotic. You can get it at Amazon and also Barnes & Noble. And you are listening to People of Distinction with Al Cole, our special guest, Ron Coleman. Is there another poem that you'd maybe like to read from your book, Ron Coleman, Historic and Patriotic, Ron?
Yeah, there is one.
Okay. Yeah, why don't you gather that one up? And as you're looking for that one, I'll tell more about patriotism. Yeah, we like patriotism here in People of Distinction land. And what Ron was saying, yeah, our changing demographic, and we want to make all people feel worthy, welcome, and feel a sense of dignity. And the best way to give people dignity is to dignify yourself first and understand that a lot of the things that you believe, people, are the same things that other people believe, no matter what their skin color, no matter what their religion or gender or age group. And that is love. one of the things that we all want to do in this world is love, and we want to be loved. And if we start out that way, what we really have in common, that need for love, then we can honor maybe the love that other people have for the people that they love and some of the things that they love. And when they're talking about their mother or father that they love, and of course we don't know them, but we can say, yeah, I can relate to that. I have a mother that I love. I have a father that I love. I have a sister, brother. I have my children, and of course, my spouse. And if we start to talk more about the things that we have in common, like love, instead of some of the contentious things, well, maybe now we can become friends. And then friends can solve things better than enemies. That's how we think on People of Distinction. Tell me when you're ready to read that next poem, Ron.
I'm ready.
Okay, why don't you read that?
It's called America, You Touch Me. Like soft waves on silver sands, the golden sun on morning dew, tree boughs swaying to a gentle breeze. America, you touch me too. For you were born of freedom, weaned on human rights, raised to respect liberty and protect her with your life. You were schooled for individuality, taught to ease human strife. Your heart was bought with human blood, your independence by human life. Yes, I'm deeply touched, America, by the liberty I enjoy, the freedom, that's the birthright I took for granted as a boy. By the way you've helped ease hunger and pain throughout the world, by your open response to need, loving arms unfurled. Yes, I'm for you, America, and I can plainly see that nowhere else in this world could I really just be me.
Look at that. Another winner there. Beautiful poem again by a special guest, Ron Coleman, on People of Distinction. And Ron, we just have some minutes left in this great exposition of People of Distinction with your poetry book, Ron Coleman, Historic and Patriotic. And I want to take it out with just giving you another couple of minutes or so to say whatever you want to say even more about your book and the ways that we can be patriotic in, in real positive ways in our society and historic in really positive ways. Tell us a little bit more about that in the next 2-3 minutes, whatever you want to say about your book.
Well, it's got more poems like that. They're all penned the same way from my heart. I kind of am like the great Hank Williams, who people used to ask him how he wrote such beautiful songs. And he said, they're already written. He says, I just kind of reach up and pull them down.
Uh-huh.
And that's kind of the way I feel about my poems. I have to be inspired to do it. I can't just write a poem. I have to reach up and pull it down. It has to come to me.
I get it.
And thank you.
Yeah.
I love this country so much. There isn't another country that got the freedom that this country has. I've been to just enough that I learned what other people had to go through. Like being in Cuba, we used to have to listen to Castro if we wanted to watch TV. And the people that lived there, what they had to go through. And that was more of what helped inspire me to love my country. What I took for granted was real. Love was real. And it wasn't just something that I couldn't touch or feel. Like when I got down and kissed the good old U.S. earth when I came back to America.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we can relate to that. And, you know, I'm going to cap off the show with a couple of cents of my own, underscoring to you, my listening audience, the sense that Ron has made throughout the show with reading the wonderful poems that he has in his book, Ron Coleman, Historic and Patriotic, talking about, the fact that he read his book, Paul Harvey, back in the 70s, 1976, the Bi-Centennial. And also now he mentioned Hank Williams. I was brought up with a lot of country and western music myself. I always valued Hank Williams and a lot of the stars back then with country music, but also I love all types of music. Now I'm going to put it this way, and this goes out to you, my listening audience. When Ron talks about some of the things of the past, that doesn't mean he's living in the past. And that doesn't mean that you, my younger listeners, we have millennials who listen, we have people in college who listen, and we have, of course, middle-aged people, seniors who listen to people of distinction all over the country, all over the world. Well, take it to heart, people. We can learn from history. The greatness of certain people in history, such as Hank Williams, even if you've never heard of Hank Williams, if you're a millennial, that lives. All of that still lives. The great works that might have been created back 20 years ago, 40, 50, 60 years ago, 100 years ago, or maybe 200 or 2,000 years ago. These add to our human family progress and also our human family inspiration. We can be inspired by anybody. And this goes to you, my younger people. You can be inspired by your mother, father. You can be inspired by your grandfather or your grandmother. You can be inspired by older people. You can be inspired by people who are younger than you and people who are exactly the same age as you. It's all in the way that they communicate what is important to them, to your heart and soul. Think of it that way. It's always a matter of how much we love what we do, and we want to pass on that love to other people in our society, just the way that Ron is. His love of the United States, of America, his love, therefore, of patriotism. Pick out something that you love, people. It can be patriotism, it might be history, it might be medicine, or it might be spirituality. It might be a lot of things. Pick out something that you really love, and when you talk about it to other people, don't be judgmental. No, be loving, be caring, and be dignified, and respect other people who maybe have their ways of expressing the things that they love. And you come together that way, just like Ron, and we have a better United States. If we now start to respect other people's thinking, because there are very few people, I think, that want to hurt other people. We become contentious, we become dogmatic because, well, we think sometimes we have to, and that's defensiveness. And then defensiveness leads to bullying and everything else. Start to trust a little bit more. And the first person to trust is you. Understand who you are. Take some alone time every once in a while. Get to know yourself better. And as you do that, you develop love for yourself and your thinking. And then you know that it came from a higher power. That beautiful source, just like Ron was talking about with Hank Williams. Oh, the songs come through me. They were already out there. And then I just download them into, my text way of saying them and singing them and everything. Think of it that way, people, especially you younger people. And you can relate to all others in this world. And that's the way that we say it on People of Distinction with Al Cole. And we really do respect Ron and all of the patriotic directions and inspiration that he's given today on People of Distinction with Al Cole. So one more time, order his book, Ron Coleman, Historic and Patriotic, at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And I will say that he was brought to us by Parchment Global Publishing, one of the best in the publishing world. Parchment Global Publishing, that's where you want to go to move your book, parchmentglobalpublishing.com. Thank you so much, Ron, for being my special guest on People of Distinction with Al Cole. We wish you all the best with your book and your life directions. Thank you so much, Ron.
You're welcome. The pleasure's all mine. I loved it. I thought it was great.
There you go. Yeah, it was a great show.